Hey everyone, so I'm going on a cruise in 10 days and I thought it would be interesting to put together a list of things that I do from 10 days to my cruise till the day of my cruise. So today we're going to give you 10 tips for 10 days prior to sailing on your cruise. Let's go talk about it. Hey everyone, John here from Bite Size Cruises. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to give you 10 tips of things you should do 10 days out from your cruise. So this is about the time I really start preparing to go on my next cruise. I have 10 days from my next cruise right now, which I'm going on NCL Joy. So this is when I generally start my last minute-ish type of planning. So first up, you want to make sure you have the cruise app downloaded. So right now I have my cruise app downloaded. Norwegian has a fun little countdown, so it tells you your countdown. It's also going to give you a lot of great information. You're going to need to have the app on the cruise. I know some people don't want to carry their phone anymore on their cruises or have any type of devices, but pre-cruise, getting to the terminal and getting on the ship and then being able to search for things and do different things, it does really help to have the app available. You can check in for dining, you could do shows, you could do different things now, and you could see the daily schedule, even though you can get a paper one as well. But it's really important that you have the app. It's also important at this point that you double check all your check-in information. Make sure that everything is correct there. Make sure you're checked in properly, make sure your contact information is correct, your credit card information is correct, your emergency contact, all of that information is correct. It's really critical to have all that stuff right so that when you get to the port, you don't have any hiccups. If you miss something, you forgot to do something, it's just going to hold you up from getting to that sweet, sweet line to get on the ship. Next up, number 2, make sure you have built a packing list. This is something I talk to people about all the time. I pack very light for my cruises, but I still use a checklist. And the reason is it's so hard, especially when you're packing last minute, to remember everything. So you might forget silly things like over-the-counter meds that you really need. Maybe you need seasickness pills. Maybe you need to bring Tylenol. All of these things are super expensive on the ship, and if you have to get off the ship to get them at a port, you're in a foreign country, you want to make sure you're getting the right thing, especially if you're buying meds or anything like that. So I always have a checklist. If you take vitamins, if there are brushes or razors or different things that you need, it's just great to have a little packing list and then have a packing list for each day of your cruise. I know it sounds silly, but one of the things that I do is I check ahead of time to see what the different themes are, to see what's going on in the cruise. Maybe it's something I want to participate in, maybe it's not, and then I kind of just gear up for those things. I talk about it all the time. What I do is I make sure, you have your priorities, your underwear, different things like that that you need. And then I go through each day. Okay, day 1, I want to make sure I have a t-shirt or, a pair of jeans or whatever I want to have, and then something to wear at night. Day 2, going to do this. And then overall, just making sure you have bathing suits, different things that you need. Again, I underpack, some people overpack. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just great to have a checklist so that you know what it is that you're going to pack and you can check things off and make sure you have them all. Next up, number 3, print anything that you need. So if you need your boarding documents, I forgot mine on my last Carnival cruise. I've been on so many cruises and sometimes you forget things. Make sure you have a copy. So here's what I think is a smart thing to do, and you can certainly do this or not do this. I always take a picture of my passport and my driver's license that I have on my phone, and then I have printed copies of my passport and my driver's license just in case something happens. I can prove something. You can't use that as a legal document, but it might help you get a copy of your real one or get the real one quicker if you need to do something, especially if you need to go to an embassy. If you're in another country, it's going to get you a little bit of assisted service. If you have those things already printed, it makes it a little easier for them to do it. Any documents you want to have with you, anything you feel like you need, print those things out and just bring them with you. It's not a big deal. It's just a couple sheets of paper. It's definitely worth it, especially as well kids paperwork. If you have kids, maybe you're divorced, maybe you have foster kids, anything like that, you might need to have paperwork in order to bring them on the cruise. Make sure you have that printed out and good to go. You definitely don't want to get pushed back at the port. That's never, ever, ever fun. Next up, check your phone plans for options. So when you get on the cruise ship, a lot of people just put their phone in the safe and they're done with it. That's great. If not, and you're going to be using your phone, one, you want to make sure as soon as you set sail, you throw that bad boy into airplane mode, but that's once you get on the ship. But before that, check and see a lot of the new, a lot of your AT&T, Verizons are coming out with cruise ship plans. They're not super cheap, but if you wanted to just leave your phone on and be able to text and do the minimal things, you can now buy plans for that. You could also buy Wi-Fi on the ship, so just make sure you are covered. Also, when you get to port, with my I have AT&T in particular, mine is $10 per day in most countries. Some countries I'm just covered, but for most countries it's 10 bucks a day, so that when I get off the ship, I can put my phone back in cellular mode. It'll pop up and tell me, welcome to Bahamas, Mexico, wherever you're at. You're all set. It's going to be 10 bucks for the day. Then you don't have to worry about racking up these crazy charges. So make sure your phone is equipped with those plans and anything you need. Next up, make sure you have your excursions and any pre-cruise packages booked and paid for. One, a lot of times if you put something in your cart and you don't check out all the way, you can really run into problems. So make sure your carts are clear on the website and in the app. And then if you're going to book the dining package or the drink package or the Wi-Fi, all of those things are going to be less expensive pre-cruise than they are on the cruise. I've never seen an exception to this. I hear people say all the time, wait till you get on the ship and you'll get this great deal. I've never seen that in my experience. My experience, the pricing is always more expensive than it is before you get on the ship. So make sure you have all those things booked. Excursions do sell out now. So if you do want to go on any excursions, make sure you have those pre-booked. A lot of times you can still get some excursions on the ship, but there are no great deals on them and they do sell out very quickly. Next up, this is a newer one that I've started doing. Download any interesting weather apps. Again, we're now into hurricane season. Hurricane season is a big chunk of the year. So I always like to be prepared and have a nice weather app. I use some international weather apps. I follow some international weather people that are really tracking these things well. It's just nice to have. It's nice to be prepared to see what's going to happen on your cruise, at least a little bit, so that you can at least have a heads up of what it may be going on. You can do that 10 days before because it starts showing your timeline for the cruise, and then you can just keep an eye on it as you get closer and closer. Next up, if you are able to, through the app or the website, make any show or dining reservations ahead of time. This is a little bit of a pain for me, especially I'm going on Norwegian this time. You can pre-do dining reservations, but I can't do reservations for one. So I would have to make reservations for two, and then when I get on the ship, change them all to one. Doesn't make any sense, so I have to just wait. However, I did book my show ahead of time, and I do have my dining package. But if you can book your dining reservations and all pre-cruise, it's a great thing to do, and it will save you some time. Once you get on the ship, you don't want to be running around doing a bunch of different, administrative things. You just want to go on the ship and enjoy yourself. So do those things ahead of time. You'll be good to go. Next up, bring cash and credit cards that you need. Sometimes people bring one credit card. I always advise bringing two, just in case you have some type of an issue. And then bring some type of cash for tipping. I generally bring a few $100s if I'm going on a week-long cruise just to be able to tip or pay for something quickly if I'm at port with a 10 or a 20. So I'm not running around trying to find money and then get things done. I don't really like to use my credit cards when I'm out and about. I would prefer to just use cash, get whatever I need and be done with it. So there you go. Next up, make sure you have travel insurance and make sure you have the paperwork and you understand what your travel insurance is. The more and more I get older and go on more cruises, I see more things happen and I keep seeing the value of travel insurance. I never used to do it. I still know a ton of people that don't do it. And it's one of the things that you don't need until you really, really need it. I'm not pushing selling you insurance or anything like that. I'm just saying that you should get it no matter what you do. Make sure you have travel insurance. I have a yearly plan that I get that covers me for my cruises. I highly recommend you do that and make sure you know what's covered. Next up is a week before to 10 days is kind of the time frame where I start looking at my iPad, my Kindle, see what type of books I want to bring, download movies onto your iPad. The internet on the ships is now really good. It's still not really good enough to watch live TV or to be downloading things while you're on the cruise ship. It will work for certain points and different things. However, I always recommend just downloading TV shows, movies ahead of time so you don't have to worry about it. Download your books to your Kindle. That one's really tough to do with switching the internet on all your different devices. Some cruise lines you can't switch, like MSC, whatever device you get it on, you get it on. So make sure you have that. Couple tips left. The next one is make sure you bring all those little things that you might need, like a power adapter, hooks for your room, magnetic hooks to hold things, your first aid kit if you need one, your toiletries, Q-tips, deodorant, brush, hair, toothpaste. We talked about that before a little bit. And then the last one is make sure you have your cables, your phone charger, all those different things that you might need, your camera equipment. If you bring a camera, make sure you have an extra battery, make sure you could charge, make sure you have memory sticks or memory cards if you need them. And then never ever forget your swimwear, your sunscreen, your sandals. All those things are really expensive if you have to buy them. I do recommend one final thing here is that you take a lot of those things and put them in your carry-on bag, like your swimsuit. If you're interested in really enjoying your first day on the cruise, and you can get on the ship between 11 and 12 usually, you can really beat the crowds by bringing a little bag. You could run into the restroom, get on your swimsuit, or you can wear it underneath your clothes, and then just pop on over to the pool deck. You'll have your sunscreen with you. You'll have your flip-flops or your sandals with you, and then you can go right to the pool deck and enjoy yourself. Those are my tips for 10 days or less before your cruise. If you have any that you think are good, please pop them below. We would love for you to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Come join us on this journey. Happy cruising, and we will see everybody tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye.